So, welcome to the very first inaugural episode of Purpose to Care podcast with my dear friend, with my dear new friend since about a year and a bit ago, Osbert Peters. Osbert and
Hey,
I, welcome.
hi everyone. How you guys doing?
Welcome, Osbert. It's such a joy. It's such a thrill to have you here to be my first interviewee. So, we serendipitously met in Calgary just over a year ago, and we instantly clicked. Like from the first several sentences we spoke to each other, we realized that this person is worthy of not just a passing hello and like being very polite to, but this is a person whose brain I would love to, get to know a little bit more intimately, some of the experiences you've had in life, some of the wealth of wisdom that you bring. And you're a podcaster for a while. I'm just getting into podcasting myself since recently. So I'm so thoroughly honored and overjoyed to have you be my first guest here at Purpose to Care. So I just like you to speak briefly. I just maybe just say a few words and then I'm gonna kind of kick it off with a couple of questions.
Well, I'll say this. I'm also new to the podcasting world. We're starting our podcast right now. We're probably going to do one this weekend, which is my birthday's this weekend.
Happy
And we
birthday.
want to do one on my birthday. But we have been recording, like doing videos for a short bit, like a couple years or so, maybe 2, 3 years. We just kind of have a small little YouTube channel that we put stuff on there every so often. And we've been on TikTok as a family, just posting family travel stuff for a while, same one on Instagram. So we're now really kind of getting serious more about content creation. So we want to really look at, well, we always do the family travel stuff, but really
Yeah.
the direction that things have gone now in life is the spiritual path. And we want to follow what we believe we've been called to do, which is just raise our vibrations, be authentic, and share the knowledge that we have and we're gaining on this path with others out there. And whoever it affects, whoever it helps, it'll help. But we feel like we're being called to this path. So we just want to take that path now. And the podcast is one of the ways that we're going to actually start doing that.
Brilliant. Yes. And that, in case you're wondering, that channel and the TikTok is Family on the Fly, spelled regularly with no spaces, no dots. Family on the Fly.
Yes, that's the TikTok one.
And then is that the YouTube as well?
That's also the YouTube. So it's also Family on the Fly. There's a few videos up there. I haven't posted anything in like 2 months, but maybe three. But we're about to do some more stuff because we're just taking it more seriously now and we have to make time for it. But yeah, that's the other channel. And if you do care to check it out, we do have another channel where we post on just every so often is raising.vienna on Instagram. I'll tell you what the
Okay.
podcast for the podcast setup, we haven't finalized that yet, so that will eventually come. Maybe I'll give it to Dejan when we finish setting it up, and he can post it on his site. But that's being set up right now, so like a YouTube channel and all that stuff. So,
Yes. And this goes to show how new our friendship is because as you'll probably hear me at some point again say to others, I only correct those that I want to speak with again.
all
And the
right.
easiest way to remember how to pronounce my name, it's
Let me,
not your
yeah,
day off, it's your day on.
Dayon. I keep saying Dejan. I don't know why. Maybe it's like the mustard. I think maybe I just like
I
that. So,
know, I know.
Dayon.
Yes, it's the J is pronounced like a Y.
That's right.
Not a problem at all. So this is the floor is yours, Osbert Peters. I know how valuable your experience is, how valuable your wisdom is in the topic of achieving success, achieving results, and moreover, awakening, living a life of higher consciousness, of higher vibration, of being heart-centered, of following your purpose, of following your dreams, of being authentic. Can you please share with our audience? What was your life at the beginning like before you started realizing that there is this realm for the enchanted of awakening and how that journey of awakening started to unfold, how you were following that trail of breadcrumbs, and then where are you at now, and what are some of your future plans helping humankind evolve and awaken and, get to that golden age of
That's
human
a
development?
that's a very big question. So, okay, well, in terms of where it started, I think since I was a child, I always knew that I always knew I was different, and I never could explain why things were the way they were, you know? And I never really fit in here, to be honest. I always felt like my energy and my presence always caused people to like squiver and squirm, and some people, it's like either people liked me or they didn't like me. It would be one or the other. Either I made really, really good friends or they just couldn't figure out how to get close to me. They just didn't know. And
Yeah.
I didn't have the closest relationship with my family because I didn't grow up with them. Like when you grow up in the Caribbean, it's a little different. My family went away to have a better life for themselves, and then they try to send for you later. If you know what I'm talking about, you're Caribbean, you'll understand what I mean. Like to get here, they have to leave. They leave you with your grandparents. They come up here, settle themselves, and then they send for you. And then that could be like 7, 5, 6, 7, 8 years. All my friends that I grew up with were like that. So we didn't
Yeah.
get to meet our family until like we saw them when they would come for the summer, but we didn't get to live with them until we were 8, 9 years old-ish, right? When they were able to actually send for us after they established themselves here and got their papers together and stuff in Canada here. Some in the States too. But um, I would say when it comes to my awakening, 2020 was a big year. 2020 was when things really happened because a lot of things happened before that, but 2020 it was when it kicked off for me, is when I would say I had my dark nights of the soul. That's when things
Yeah.
changed for me. That's when I was being pulled away from um, what was happening in the world and what I was dealing with and all the struggles and trying to figure out who I am and why things are the way they are. And I was being separated from the world by the higher, what would you call the source to
Sure.
grow, to heal, to step into who I am. But first, it had to strip you down. And if you know anything about awakenings, it strips you right down, right? It purges all the traumas that you've been through. It purges all the friends that don't belong, and you go through this process that could last. I hear months. For me, it was years. um, Maybe even longer. I don't know. Maybe it's quicker, but for me, it was I would say years. And that process is when I also met my wife, my current wife right now. Well, my wife is I only had one.
Yes,
And
yes, yes. Your
and
forever wife.
yeah, and she was what you would call like my twin flame. Like she really reflects to me things that I need to grow on, and I reflect to her the same thing. So it's a strong connection, and we also help push each other a lot. So I would say that's where it began for me. Now, I don't know if you just saw some lights shutting off here. I just had some other things going on, but it's fine. Everything looks good.
Oh yeah. Yeah, everything's
Okay.
fine.
Okay, everything looks good. All right, perfect. So yeah, that's what happened for me from 2020 all the way up to now, I would say. I would say what has happened between 2020 and now is a realization of who I am, a realization of who didn't belong in my life, um, what I'm really meant to do, what my purpose is. Um, I got to see who I got to see things that I thought was one way in my life, but it was another way, right? I went through an isolation period where I'm not around people that can detract from your growth, where you spend time with yourself, you spend time being the person that you need to be and figuring out what you're about. Um, and that's what happened over me over, I say over the like last 5 years. The last year and a half was more of, okay, you've done the legwork, you've done the healing, you've done the repair, you figured out who you are, you're starting to become clear about what your purpose is and what you got to do. And I think now, right now, is the time to actually start doing the thing that I've been ready for. It's the universe was strengthening me, healing me, and now it's like we got to send you out there to do the work that you've been put here to do.
Yes. So, Osbert, you mentioned a couple of things happened, like several things happened leading up to 2020. So 2020 was a breakthrough year in the sense that it was like this catalyst for you to kind of reach for higher levels of understanding in life, in spirituality, in world matters. But how did certain things happen along the way? Like from the time you were a child, like at one point, did you realize, first of all, that you were a little bit different or you were different? That aspect where people either, not necessarily loved you or hated you, but they either got along with you or didn't get along with you. Like, can you give me some milestones along the way that maybe things sort of continue to reinforce themselves as to like, hey, life is strengthening you, life is helping you to be comfortable with your authenticity, with your uniqueness. How did all of those things go? And then
Mhm.
also, as you were doing some of the healing you mentioned, what are some of the resources and what are some of the practices that you'd like to recommend and share and, invite people to check out?
Okay, here's what I'll do. I'll answer the first question, the last question first.
Yeah.
So one of the things that really kickstarted that journey for me was psilocybin mushrooms.
Yes.
And that was a big one because it was like you were just stuck before then. Like you just didn't know where to go. You didn't know what was going on. Why do I feel this way? Why do I felt like I was in a midlife crisis or something, right? And you just felt stuck. You just felt like things got to change. I don't know why things are this way, but I can't go back to doing things the old way. I'm just
Right.
tired of things the way it was. I'm tired of the confusion. I'm tired of the stresses, why people respond to you a certain way. Why am I going through these struggles in life? And the psilocybin mushrooms was a game changer. So my wife hooked me up with a shaman lady here in Calgary, and she met her through another friend of hers who um, she did the process with. And when I say the process, I mean she'll come over to your house, they'll talk, she'll sage the place, um, she'll have you
Yes.
boil the mushroom, like you'll put the mushrooms in tea, like into a hot water, you let it brew, you drink the tea, you eat the mushrooms, and within 15, 20 minutes, you start to feel it kicking in and you start to feel like, something's about to happen. And then
Sure.
you go to a quiet place, you lie down, you put a mask on, and you just, for about 3 or 4 hours, you're just in another dimension, right? And she sits with you and she prays and she does her thing to what shamans do, right? They're guiding you through this whole process, right? And then after she talks to you about what you saw and what she saw and what they told her, like the higher spirits or
Yes.
whatever you want to call them, right? Everybody has different ways of associating with, right? Um,
Amazing.
and that journey kickstarted things for me. And I don't want to necessarily get into what I saw there because that was a long thing. That's a whole nother thing. But I would say this. It immediately, when I had this journey, it immediately went to healing my heart. And what I saw was, it was weird to describe. It was like a triangle, greenish, turquoise greenish thing with an eye on it. And it just kept coming to me slowly and it wasn't looking at me directly. And it came to my heart and sat in my heart for like 20, 30 minutes, it felt like, and was just healing me. And I could actually feel my heart getting lighter and feeling like I could feel it like they were going to surgery on it. Like they were just sitting there and just working and doing what they had to do. Um, and that was part of it. I saw different things telling me about my experiences in life, telling me about what I went through, um, what it meant. I saw um, in that first journey, I saw dragons. I encountered a dragon that was teaching me different things about myself and how to be. And at the end of it, I had a really great experience with something that I can't even, I'm still trying to define it and define what I saw. But all I remember was seeing a creature that looked like the universe. He looked like an animal shape, but I wasn't sure. And everything got super calm around me, like almost silent. And I always say this. It told me, um, it said, I was going to ask a question and it read my mind and it just went, I am who I am. And it said, "You are, I am. Be. Just be. Be you." And that was one of the last, that was the first journey. And I've done this well over 12, 15 times since then, because this was about 3 years ago.
Yes.
But that experience changed my life because I literally felt like this thing was here and it was talking to me about being authentic. And in the journeys that happened after that, it was really about, hey, we need you to know who you are, heal your traumas, and understand that you are a unique being and you come with a vibration that's very high. And what we require you to do to help not just yourself, but to help others, and it's not even helping others, it's really we want you to just be, because by you being, you're going to exist in a high vibration that's going to affect everything around you. And that's going to change people. You're going to be like a walking mirror, right? When you're in places, people are going to feel your presence. It's going to change the energy in the room. People are going to look at you and it's going to affect them in different ways. Some are going to be happy and be drawn to you. Other people are going to get angry and be mad at you and they won't even know why. And that's going to cause all kinds of problems, right? But you're not supposed to worry about that. That information came later on, but it was basically saying, I need you to just exist as you are and be bold and confident and be authentically you as we made you. And I want you to walk through the world like that, anchoring your light wherever you go. And that's been my experience before I started my journey. Before I went through the awakening, before I went through my dark nights of the soul, I was experiencing this because of the frequency that I have and who I am. And that was affecting people that I didn't understand why they were pissed at me and why they were mad at me and why people was upside down when they saw me and I came in the room and why some people would just really be drawn to me. Couldn't understand, right? So it made relationships very difficult. So you can imagine as a kid, you had that energy and it was affecting people around you, right? It affected how your parents treated you, how friends treated you. There's so many things now that I learned that talk about people who go through this and how it affects them and how and why it happens. And I didn't have that information when I was going through all this. It was just like, what is going on? Like it makes you confused. It makes you unsure who you are, how to act. You try to hide yourself and you go through a lot, right? And then the
Hmm.
times when you overcome stuff. This is going into the second question now. How do you deal with things that happen in your life when you have this kind of energy and you exist like this? It's not easy. It's really challenging actually because you don't know what's going on and you're not getting any support or help and you don't know where to turn. And this world does not know how to help people. Okay. I'm not saying you shouldn't go and get therapy and stuff like that, but a lot of things are spiritual. And the advice they give you, it's not really, this is just my opinion. It's not really useful when it's a spiritual issue, right? Oh, talk to someone, but really, it's all vibrational. The issues are all vibrational, and it's all a perspective that you need to learn and understand about yourself and what's actually going on. The world is not really equipped to help people truly. It pacifies them a bit. It passes on their problems. It kind of soothes them a bit, but it's not really help design. It's not designed to help them solve their issues. So when you have these things going on, you don't know what to do. And you just go through it. You get angry, you get frustrated, you get mad, you feel alone. Some days you feel happy, but you feel like things are happening and you're not sure why they're happening the way they're happening. So going through all of this, I did learn to have a grit about myself. Like I can get very determined. I can get very persistent. And I realize I have that in me. But I realized that came from the kind of spirit I have. Like I believe against all hope all the time. Even if I get down for a while, I won't stay down. I'll eventually get up and
Yeah.
believe from my heart kind of place, right? I just believe against all odds. It doesn't matter what it look like. I just will almost ignore what it looks like and just believe something different. And now I understand the power of that. Now that where I'm at right now, I understand the power of that. That's actually how you're supposed to look at the world, right? You're not really supposed to look at it as what you're seeing decides how you feel, right? If you want to be powerful in this world, you got to understand that you're a creator and you're a vibrational being. And you have to know how to control and perceive. You have to know how to control your creation. I would say that. Because you're creating all the time, no matter what. But a lot of times we're just doing it just randomly. We're not, we're just hoping things work and we're believing bad things and we're believing all kinds of stuff without really understanding how we're affecting things. And the way I understand it is the way the universe works is as a vibrational being, think of this universe as a sandbox and you're the creator in it. So whatever you think and
Okay.
whatever you believe is what what it creates. And it may not happen right away, but you're investing energy and resources vibrationally into it, and eventually it'll come to you. So the universe pitches back to you what you pitch out, and that's because it just responds to you. It's not looking at it good or bad. It just responds to you because you're the creator in this environment. So that's why sometimes you see people who may not know anything spiritually, but they have a determined spirit, or they just believe a certain way, and then things will work out for them. And then you see another person. Boy, you can't get them to think positively if you paid them money. If you give them $1 million, you can't get them to be positive, right? They're just always melancholy and they're always depressed and looking at the glass half empty. And then, yeah, you look at their life and it's like tragedy walking, you know? You ain't want to be near them because you don't want that to rub off on you. But that's because they're creating that too, right? And
Mhm.
if you understand that part of it, you're ahead of the game. Like you have to control your thoughts, you have to control your beliefs. And whatever you see, think of it as it's already been created. And it doesn't matter at that point. So it doesn't matter what you see. If you base your feelings and your decisions based on what you see, you're reacting, but not creating in a sense, right? You really want to look at it as don't, it doesn't matter what you see, is what do you believe? That changes what happens around you. That changes, I mean, you can go deep on this one. You can talk about timelines and jumping timelines and all that stuff based on what you believe, right?
Sure. Yeah.
But the idea is that you're creating the reality around you, right?
So you're saying what I believe is what I will see, not the other way around. I'm not
Yes,
going to
exactly.
see and therefore react and think that way, but I actually have an option. And that's the true nature of reality is that what I believe, that's why I'm seeing it. It's not because it was some kind of a random event that I saw it and therefore I'm able to process it, but that's actually what I created by God's help. I'm believing it to be true, therefore I'm seeing it around me. And maybe that when there is a difficulty, when there is a challenge, even that challenge is helping me to exercise my muscle of belief.
Yeah, you can look at it like that too, because even things that you consider challenges, first of all, you don't know why it's there, right? Like sometimes you could have called it in, right? Sometimes it could be a test you're trying to pass and it's just presenting itself to you. For instance, like if you struggle with something and you've done some work to overcome it, you probably get that challenge again to pass it. And when it comes up, if you respond to it differently, then it changes it permanently. So your response to things changes everything around you and changes your reality. So sometimes things come in your life and it's a way for you to overcome something, right? It's like, okay, if you respond to this correctly, then it changes. It changes in your reality. Other times people come across your path and it's for you to help them by you just being steady, right? So maybe they're chaotic, maybe whatever, who knows, right? And your response to the circumstances helps them. So that's why you can't judge whatever's happening in your life too harsh. It's kind of like not because let's say there's something bad happening around you, excuse me, doesn't mean you did anything wrong. But because you may not even know why it's happening, but you're always in control of your response. And that's what matters. Your response to things is the most important thing because however you respond to it is what the next thing is gonna determine what happens next, right? Either for someone else or for you. So there's many reasons why things happen in your life. People come in your life, bad things or good things come in your life. Um, Sometimes you didn't do anything for good things to happen. Sometimes favor just comes your way, right? But it's all about how you respond to everything. If good things happen to you and you're grateful, that's even better. Like you're amplifying good things happening to you, right? So you have to look at yourself as a creator. That's what you are. You're a creator. You're an extension of the divine. All right. So
Mhm.
now this is what you got to master. You got to master yourself. You got to master your emotions, your thoughts. And it's not about being perfect. It's just about being aware of who you are and what you can do and learning to walk in that. And there's other things that you're gonna have to learn around you too, you know, like it's not just there are bad things and bad people and bad spirits, and you gotta learn about all of that too, right? But first you should learn about yourself. And what you're gonna find out is as you try to learn about yourself, you're gonna realize that you probably was traumatized when you were a kid and you learned a lot of weird things that messed you up, and you're gonna be spending time overcoming that. And
Yeah,
learning who you are. And that's what happens during these awakenings, right? When you're being pulled apart, when you're being pulled and separated for a time to grow, especially if you have a mission. You have to heal these things before you go on that mission, right? But what you'll find is that a lot of issues that you have going on and thinking and the way you process things, a lot of it is something that happened when you were young, many things that happened when you were young. And you develop belief systems, right? That's not real, it's not true, or I wouldn't say it's not true. I have to be careful here because it's something that happened, but your perspective of it is what needs to change. And you have to understand, you could always reframe anything. Okay. It's like, is anything true? It's only true. It's true to you. It's not really, truth is a truth thing that's true to you. And here, I'll give you an example. If you're walking down the street and someone cusses you out and calls you a whole bunch of names and
yeah,
swears up and down at you, and you don't know this person, you just walk by like they're crazy. You'd be like, okay. But if it's someone
yeah.
that you know and they say the same words, you're going to feel hurt. Well, why is that? Is because you
Oh,
believe the second person because
yeah,
you know them and you think what they're saying might be true. And you're like, how could they think that? And then you start to think that it's true in yourself. And then you might feel that somewhere in you, you might actually believe that. And that's what's happening. You see, why do you believe that? They're saying this crazy thing. Why can't you just dismiss it like you dismissed it when the first person said it? Because they're triggering a bunch of beliefs that you have. And it's probably stuff that you figured that you assigned to yourself when you were young. And then it's just activating and making you mad. You're depressed, you're angry, you're frustrated, you want to punch somebody, right? So those are the things you have to clean up. And the question is, well, who's right? Who's true? Was the first when the first person said it, were they true? When the second person said it, was it true? In neither case is true. It's only true when you believe it's true. See? If you don't believe it's true, it doesn't matter. No matter what they say. Like the first person, it didn't matter what they said. You just didn't believe it.
right. One of the things that I came up with, this was actually through a program called Marriage Fitness when I was trying to save and restore my first marriage, which ended up resulting in divorce. But I learned to understand that, I can't change the past. I can only build a better future. Maybe there was a certain action that I did that maybe was, let's call it crazy or was unkind, right? But does that make me an unkind person? Does that make me a cruel person? No, just by the fact that I'm actually working on healing myself and overcoming that trauma and all the, like some people talk about fractured personalities as a result of trauma that, I might not see things clearly as a result of some of the pain that I've gone through that was so acute as a child or what different things happened to me. Now that I'm aware of that, okay, maybe certain behaviors are not who I am and I choose differently today. That actually makes me a better person as a result of me looking to build, to have and choosing this new future, to have a better life, to have a new life, to have a new future, and to build that new future.
Right. Right. Exactly. Right.
Or
You
maybe
got to
it's
change your mind.
completely fabricated, or maybe they said something that's completely fabricated, like in the case of, an unsafe person. Let's
Mhm.
call it an unsafe person says something, right? Recently, I learned the language. Well, we see things differently.
Right. Exactly.
When I do something or say something that, that's in alignment with my understanding of truth and reality, that is actually helping me to achieve better results, to keep my hope, to keep my belief, that's actually helping me unravel the ball of yarn that is the nature of reality and how I can cleave to my source, to God Almighty, and basically lead a purpose-filled life and to lead a life of spirituality and lead a life of meaning. And a lot of people out there are basically dismissive of spirituality, dismissive of of these higher realities, of these dimensions above and beyond. And they say stuff that, that's just hurtful. But when I realize that, hey, that's just the best that they can do, or maybe they're trying to get a rise out of me, but nowadays it's just like one of the things I also say to myself and I say to my wife is I just say, hey, I'm so glad that I have my life and not their life.
Right, right, right. It's people don't always know why they do the things they do. They're just reacting, right? They're being defensive. They've they feel attacked too in some ways, right? Sometimes the way you live and the way you do things offends them. Not because you did anything wrong. It's just their perception of the world. It you challenge it sometimes by just being who you are. And that's not something for you to worry about. That's something they have to deal with. This is things that people have to go inside and figure out why, when that person does that, it makes me wild out and react this way, or I want to get mad at them or be envious or attack them or what. That's things they have to address, right? A lot of this stuff goes back to childhood stuff. A lot of
Yeah.
it. That's what I'm starting to understand. But
Can you elaborate? How does it go back to childhood stuff?
you come here, you come into this world, you don't remember who you are. You need to feel safe. You're with family members and parents that have their own traumas, and a lot of that gets passed on to people. And you have to try to make sense of the world around you, right? So you assume things naturally. People react to you a certain way. They don't like you. You're going to think, well, maybe something's wrong with me. My parents don't treat me the same way they treat my brother. Well, maybe I'm not good enough, right? Someone abused you. You think you're not worthy of something, right? These things happen and you don't know how else to think. So you just make that assumption. And now you're creating and you don't even know you're creating, right? You're creating these powerful statements about yourself, these strong beliefs, and they sit on you, they sit in your heart, and they shape your world around you. And you don't even know what you're doing, but you don't know any better, right? I mean, it would be great if you had parents that can guide you through this and they've been through their healing. And when they bring you into the world, they can protect you enough. But a lot of the times, that's not the case, right? They have their own healing that they have to go through, especially it's like it's getting better as every generation goes forward. But the further back you go, it just gets weirder and weirder. It's like they were just less healing, more trauma, and it's getting better as we go forward in the future. But that's all it is, right? A lot of times we just have to heal these assumptions that we created about ourselves when we were young. And as you get older, they follow you into adulthood. They follow you into the office. They follow you in your friendships, in your relationships. And a lot of people, they get into relationships and these things come up. People trigger those those issues, and they think, well, maybe something's wrong with the other person, But a lot of times they're just showing you by reflecting to you things that you got to fix. A lot of the times, right? Not all the time, but there's a lot of that going on. And that brings me to another point, like, relationships, people, I think we kind of misunderstand some of the purposes of relationships. And, I'm learning it from my opinion. I think relationships help you grow. And people will, in a relationship, will reflect things to you about yourself. And it's opportunities to grow. It's not necessarily a reason to run away. And a lot of times you run away if somebody, you know, you think it's their fault. Like you think they're just being this way. And, maybe you're an empath and they're a narcissist and they're just triggering everything in you. Yes, there's an empath narcissist kind of relationship, and there are empaths and narcissists, and they have certain characteristics that come about them, but you attracted them too, right? You attracted them into your life, and they're just reflecting things to you that you need to address. Because I guarantee you, once you address them, either that person has to change too, because you're going to reflect differently to them, or they'll leave, or the relationship will fall apart if it doesn't sustain itself anymore, as you grow. Sometimes you can grow with people that reflect to you, in relationships, especially if you meet like a soulmate or a twin flame or something like that. But
Yeah.
my understanding of relationships now, the purpose of them is for growth and for mission. Like you come together to achieve something together, or for growth, or both. That's my understanding of it. Because you generally can be self-sustaining in most cases. right? I'm talking about more on a spiritual level too, not necessarily like a physical level. Like I'm talking more about having someone in your life. What can they do for you? It's really more on the spiritual side. They can really help you grow. And problems in relationships is not necessarily a bad thing, but we have to see it from a point of we're reflecting to each other and we could learn from each other and we can grow and support each other. Right?
Hmm. Actually, here we're about to come to the surprise of the
Yeah.
show. So I have a surprise for you.
Okay.
Yeah, so I actually have a reading that I picked out and I would like to share it. I actually meant to tell you earlier,
Okay.
but it's a reading from a book called The Language of Letting Go: Daily Meditations on Codependency by Melody Beattie. So this is what the book looks like, and it's a daily meditation. So I'd like to read it. I
Sure.
trust you're fine, yeah. This one is entitled Empowering, March 17th. You can think, you can feel, you can solve your problems, you can take care of yourself. Those words have often benefited me more than the most profound and elaborate advice. How easy is it to fall into the trap of doubting ourselves and others? When someone tells us about a problem, what is our reaction? Do we believe we need to solve it for the person? Do we believe that that person's future rests on our ability to advise him or her? That's standing on shaky ground, not the stuff of which recovery is made. When someone is struggling through a feeling or a morass of feelings, what is our reaction? That the person will never survive that experience? That it's not okay for someone to feel that he or she will never get through this intact? When a person is faced with the task of assuming responsibility for their life and behaviors, what is our response? That that person can't do that? I must do it myself to save him or her from dissipating into ashes, from crumbling, from failing? What is our reaction to ourselves when we encounter a problem, a feeling, or when we face the prospect of assuming responsibility for ourselves? Do we believe in ourselves and others? Do we give power to people, including ourselves, and their abilities? Or do we give the power to the problem, the feeling, or the irresponsibility? We can learn to check ourselves out. We can learn to think and consider our responses before we respond. I'm sorry you're having that problem. I know you can figure out a solution. Sounds like you've got some feelings going on. I know you'll work through them and come out on the other side. Each of us is responsible for ourselves. That does not mean we don't care. It does not mean a cold, calculated withdrawal of our support from others. It means we learn to love and support people in ways that work. It means we learn to love and support ourselves in ways that work. It means that we connect with friends who love and support us in ways that work. To believe in people, to believe in each person's inherent ability to think, feel, solve problems, and take care of themselves is a great gift we can give and receive from others. And then there's a prayer or an intention. Today, I will strive to give and receive support that is pure and empowering. I will work at believing in myself and others and our mutual abilities to be competent at dealing with feelings, solving problems, and taking responsibility for ourselves. And what I meant to say earlier when you talked about the word respond, I was actually going to connect it to the word responsibility.
Mm,
Respond, responsibility.
mm. That's big. That's really big. That was very deep. That was very deep. Mm,
Yeah, my wife and I got into the habit of reading this, not quite every day, but lots of days. We try to do it. We strive to do it every day. It's a way to connect in the morning, sometimes later on in the day, but it's a way to kind of realign. And we actually have we actually have this saying, being above the line and being below the line.
mm,
So like being above the line is being centered, and then going out into the world and having this this strength in my own self-love and self-worth, and I've had enough sleep. I've taken care of myself emotionally, spiritually, psychologically, nutritionally, and I'm able to tackle my purpose today. Whereas if I may not have taken care of myself, I'm too tired, I might be shorter with people. And so that's where the growth and the achievement comes in, because other people will give me a message, they'll give me a feedback. Hey, you're not really your centered self, and you need
Mm,
to do something kind of to rebalance, to recalibrate yourself.
gotcha. Yeah, gotcha. That's deep. You know, that's what it is. That's what it's about. You got to recalibrate. You got to center yourself. You got to stay calm.
One of
You
the
got
other
to,
things that, go ahead, sorry.
you got to get to a calm place. Center yourself so you can hear from yourself. You can hear from your heart. And the world can sometimes pitch us in any direction, because of all the stuff we're seeing coming at us. A bill, traffic, your neighbor, all kinds of stuff, right? Stressed kids. And when you're when your energy's scattered like that and frantic, you can't really hear from your higher self, right? You can't hear from the divine as easily. So there is power in getting calm so you can receive that energy recharge, to receive wisdom and knowledge, sometimes a word or sometimes just an unction or an understanding. There is peace in that.
Yes. I meant to share also my experience with having this invitation of a higher plane of existence to sort of to rely on, for besides, God himself as
Mm,
solace, but also, like you said, the higher self, and this being in tune with the spiritual aspect of reality. Um, and it comes from my background in quantum medicine.
mm,
That's kind of part of also my framework for success, as I call it. Whereas as we have pain in life, that pain will lead us to grow, and that growth will lead us to our purpose, right? So I got into through, well, just my sort of life story in like 3 sentences or less. I lost my dad when I was 3 years old. That took me to this path of searching for, isn't there a better way? Why would
mm.
people need to die at 56 years old of cancer? Like that seems kind of silly. Like it just didn't
Right.
compute. And so I found all these holistic health alternatives to, to basically be well again, and to be well all the time as best as possible. And one of those led to learning, like getting exposed to quantum medicine. So healing with energy, healing with light frequencies. And so back in 2018, I got exposed to that. First met the person late 2016, then in 2018 started availing of that type of medical treatments,
Hmm.
alternative health treatments. By 2019, I started apprenticing. By late 2019, I made it a career path. And then by 2020, that practice where I was making a living, full-time living out of it, by March 2020, that ground to a halt, and kind of came crashing down, with people cooping up all around the world and in Calgary as well.
What a
So
big changing year. Yeah.
So a very, very pivotal moment for me as well, where that's actually what got me into full-time sales. So, and that's one of the ways that I was able to like face my own, let's call it, in the words of my friend Frank Kermit, my own demon, or maybe like my own dragon. I don't know if you can talk about dragons being like kind or unkind or bad or good. I don't know what your dragons were like, but let's just call it like facing my sort of myself, like my this existential sort of pain, and my sort of I later on I called it my lack of self-worth or self-love, which I've
Hmm.
now, I would say, not just to a large extent, but I have fundamentally eradicated it. And so this quantum medicine, I realized as I was trying to like dig into it, like, wait, how does it work? That there are subtle energy fields that underlie the material. The biochemistry is not existing in and of itself, but there are these subtle energy fields that basically empower the material.
Right.
And that's where also our mindset and our belief and our hope goes into, creating our life by God's help. And so this out of body experience you had, and you've had several of them, is something that's naturally available for everybody, except we have had our natural abilities systematically, what's the word? Not wilted away, like whittled away at with all of these systematic approaches of the system, of the powers that be. And however, thankfully, they cannot control everything. So here we are, where like one of my key things in my life is freedom. Living a
Hmm.
life of freedom, both spiritually, both in thinking, respecting others, giving value to the world. So, yeah, those are some of the things that came up for me as you were speaking.
Got you. Got you. That's powerful, right? Those are big things, right?
And that's one
Very,
of the
very
things
powerful.
that I believe we're here to do is as other people are sort of starting to follow that trail of breadcrumbs, or as they're along the path of the breadcrumbs of awakening, where they stumble upon or they get it in their feed serendipitously. Like one of the things that I came up with is I was going through the mind field of Dr. Joe Dispenza having a
Hmm.
7-day intensive in 2023 in Denver, Colorado. And I was driving south to Dallas, Texas with my son and I. We were going to a religious conference, and we got through this minefield of like 1,000 or 1,500 people meditating and having their pops of like having their quantum moments and having their instantaneous miraculous healings in this 7-day intensive. And my YouTube feed came up with Dr. Joe Dispenza. And I'd never listened to him before. And I was just like, oh, Dr. Joe Dispenza, my neighbor from like a couple of years ago mentioned him that he cured himself and cured his own back for after having like a debilitating back injury. And then Ed Milet was on there. Ed Milet, who I'd known from my sort of sales and entrepreneurship type of learning, and he was interviewing Dr. Joe Dispenza. So I said, okay, fair enough. It's a suggestion. I'll start listening to this. And then that started my multiple week binge of Dr. Joe Dispenza. And, then meditating to his meditations in the mornings and in the evenings. So, yeah. So, in any case, over to you.
No, we had very similar, my wife and I had very similar experience in the sense of um, we were just introduced to people like Joe Dispenza, Danny Morales, and then Esther,
Yeah.
Abraham Hicks, I guess that's what people call her.
Yeah.
And then it's like it started there, and it's like, where do these people come from in my feed? Like it was not there before. It was just not there at all. But when this whole journey started and this awakening was whatever happened in 2020, but it was not just me. I've talked to a lot of people now. It's like that was a turning point. I think 2016 was for a lot of people, and then 2020, and then something in 2023. I'm hearing 2023, but I don't know. But all of a sudden, the stuff is in my feed. And I
Yeah.
know the algorithm works in a way like, you watch certain things, it will show other things, right? But even then, it was like you outgrow some people. Like you'd watch some people for a while, and then you won't see them in your feed for a bit, but you see newer people. And then the stuff they're giving you is like, oh yeah, I'm ready for this new stuff anyways. And then new people will come, and then you're ready for the new stuff, and you won't see the old people for a while. And they may come back depending on where you're at. And that's the part I found very curious, like very interesting, because I'm like, it, you ever start to feel like this place is a video game? Like I sometimes feel like it's a video game at this point.
Right. Yeah,
It's like
100%.
it's constantly adjusting to your needs and what you want and what you think and what you believe. And depending on where you're at, things are happening. It's not just happening randomly, is what I feel like. It's here's my take on it. This is my personal take, okay? My personal take.
Yeah.
I think I think we are in like a simulation, and I do think, we do choose our path when we come here. And it's like, when you come into like if you're playing a video game, like you choose a level and then
Yeah.
you choose a character and then you choose a mission. I
Yeah.
think that's how we're functioning here. At least not maybe not everybody, but I can't say for sure, I feel like I am, and I believe other people are. And
Yeah.
you're on this path, and you could choose. You don't have free will as much as you think. It's kind of like you can choose within the path.
Of course.
That's the conclusion I'm coming to. And this is more personal than anything else. So I'm not telling you, if you could believe whatever you want, I don't care. Right. But this is how I'm perceiving things now based on how I'm experiencing this world. And it's like what I'm, what we're about to do is a path that we took to get, like we chose to do this when we came here, and we're just being guided down this path. So even the stuff we went through when we were young all led to this moment. And within that path, yes, you can make choices, but it's a limited amount of choices, but you can't completely change off the path and change the whole scenario. So it's like it's about the experience, right? It's about the experience that you're going through. And even if it's harsh, even if it's painful, right? It's about the experience, about learning from the experience and going through it and understanding things through the experience. And then getting to where you're supposed to be and learning what that means and figuring out how to do that. And that's what it's about. I personally believe when it comes down to it, it comes down to it's about the experience and having the experience itself and going through it and getting to the other side and knowing why you made the choice. You know, life is like that Matrix movie. Remember that Oracle lady? She was like, when she would talk to Neo, she'd be like, she was giving him the candy and she was like, um, he's like, but you already know if I'm going to take it or not. And she goes, of course. But it's not about that. It's about why you did it, why you're going to do it. Something like that. I can't remember the whole scenario, but it reminds me of that. It's like you're going to make the decision either way. You chose the path, but you want to know why. That's what you're doing here. You just why did I choose this? Why am I going? And you're learning why. And that experience is going to stay with you forever. Even after you leave this place, right? You're going to know why. You're going to have this experience that you went through on this planet. That's my belief. You can believe whatever you want. I understand. I'm just telling you my belief.
Yeah, that's pretty aligned with exactly what I believe as well in this
Mm.
aspect of life being. It's actually physicists have proven that we live in a simulation.
Yeah, I could see that. I
Yeah.
can definitely see that. You
I
know,
wrote down and I recently saw Greg Braden on School of Greatness. My
mm,
wife is really regularly watching School of Greatness. I think it's Lewis Howe, the guy's name, and he
mm,
was interviewing Greg Braden. And Greg
mm,
Braden and Dr. Joe Dispenza are kind of like two peas in a pod. And he
mm.
talks about also this, I think he was talking partly about this existence of like infinite universes. So if we talk about the nature of reality, it's very, very deep, very, very deep.
Yeah,
And that's why I think I named this channel Purpose to Care because one of the common threads for everybody, I want to say, is that we're here to care for each other. We're here to be kind to each other. We're here not to like in the reading here from March 17th, we're not here to grovel over people or fawn over them or bend over backwards for people, but we're here to empower each other. I'm here to be empowered myself, and I'm here to help others be empowered and be able to shine.
Right. Right.
So when I asked you to be on this podcast, and we're going to talk about things spiritual and success principles and, and awakening, like that was actually your word. I don't usually use that word, but I'm familiar with the terms and I do feel that I'm awakened myself to an extent and that I'm part of that community of spiritual seekers.
Hmm.
So, is this like, have you appeared on podcasts before? Like, I'm wondering if you've had that chance before. Like, what went through your mind and like, why did you say yes?
To the podcast?
Yeah, I
Well,
think you
first
already
of
touched
all,
on it. Yeah.
um, I liked our energy and I liked our vibe. And like we just kind of I don't even know how we were just we just kind of connected and we just kind of went there, right? From the time we met. And the more we talked, it was like, oh yeah, we're both trying to start a podcast and we're thinking about it. And it was kind of just going down that road, right? Of like, hey, we're kind of thinking the same way about life and seeing things a certain way. And next thing you know, we're both trying to like, hey, let's just do this podcast thing, man. We got something to offer the world. And I feel like I have to just, step into my gift and just do what I got to do. So when and uh when I was thinking about it, and then we started talking a little bit more because we'll talk every so often. And then you're like, I'm doing a podcast, would you want to be my guest? I'm like, you know what? Yeah. In my head, I just said yes. I'm like, of course, because I'm trying to do one, and I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, I would love to be a guest on someone else's podcast, and we can help each other.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of for me. It was like, yeah, I'll do it for sure, 100%. Like I'll support you on this.
So at one point, my working name for this podcast was Frequency of Home. Frequency of Home. And that resonates with when you said, like, we come to this world having chosen our like path,
Hmm.
having chosen what we want to do, what is our sort of mission in life. And that home is where we came from, which is the
Hmm.
spiritual reality. And we
Hmm.
come in this material reality to maybe help humankind, is one way to put it,
Hmm.
right? Like, not everybody is a spiritual seeker. A lot of people are simply, you know, irrevocably stuck in the TikTok. I mean, not to say that there's no hope. There's hope for everybody. But
Yep.
let's just say for now, so far, seemingly, indications are that they're not getting out of the TikTok. But people like, let's say, I personally identify as a volunteer from the spiritual reality to this material reality to serve, to help, to care.
Right. I agree. I agree. I think and I don't think it's everyone. Um there's some things that I'm trying to understand. I think I understand it. And when I say I think I understand it, I believe it that there are different types of souls here.
Yeah,
And some are okay, I'll just go straight there. Like I believe some are earth incarnated type souls. They reincarnate here on earth. They come to earth. That's what that's the game that the
yeah,
part in the game they chose. And then I believe there are what people call star seeds.
yeah,
They're more advanced souls because they've been on other planets, they've reincarnated on other planets, they've lived on higher planes, like higher dimensions and stuff. And there could be people who are incarnating here at an even higher level with a higher, stronger frequency, like an angelic frequency. And I know that may rub people, however, but that's just my personal belief on that.
there
And
is
in
a
each
song.
case, yeah, and in each case, they're just trying to they're here to shine their light. They're here to shine their light because their light, their frequency helps raise the vibration of the planet. It helps awaken other people. It's like a beacon, right? And they're going to be called to do different things whilst they're here. But that's what I believe. I believe that some people come with really high frequencies and you recognize them. They're different. You feel them when you're around them, the way they impact things and people. And, they could be one of those two, you know, helping people awaken that need to be awakened and helping people just see another perspective just through their vibration, right? Because I believe life is vibrational. I think you're vibrational. And that's what it is. They're here to just be who they are. And this is where my podcast comes in, is about being authentic, right?
Yep.
Because that's what I was told, to be authentic, let your light shine, let it be what it needs to be, right? And don't dull it anymore, don't hide it anymore, don't um shrink anymore because before the awakening to fit in, you had to shrink, you had to hide. You had your job, you can't just be who you are, right? You gotta be all this other things and to not scare people and make people react to you in a negative way because they come after you. They could try to get you fired. They don't even know why. You make them feel uncomfortable, or maybe your energy just mirrors too much things to them and they just can't take it. Um, so
Yep.
it affects family relationships, all kinds of stuff. So that vibration is really important though, because it's like a people can resonate with it. Like it cracks open the veil that people have over their eyes and their brains that this world kind of puts on you. And it has you thinking about things differently. It has you seeing the things that you buried and you don't want to face them and you don't know why you're struggling. Yeah, people with high vibrations will reflect to you exactly what it is when they come into your presence. And you don't even know why you're squirming. You just feel awkward around them. You just feel like all your problems are coming to the surface. And that's what they're there to help you do. They come to help you recognize what those things are, right? And yeah, you might get mad at them and, treat them a certain way. But, Jesus went through that, right? What do you think he was going through? Why do you think people were mad at him? Why do you think they killed him? He didn't do nothing. He was just loving on people. Just have a good time, love, joy. Oh, we're gonna
The
kill him.
Ascended Masters.
I shouldn't say the word kill. I should change that. Uh, unalive. I think that's the word. Maybe you have to edit it. I don't know. I don't want to say unalived him because you may have to edit that. Okay, because the internet's it's a little funny. They unalived
Yeah,
him,
fair
right?
enough.
And
Well,
so
let's monitor it and we'll see.
right. And he's like, wait, what did he do that was so bad? Nothing. So it's that high frequency, right? That high frequency that he's carrying that rubs people a certain way. And but that's what you're here to do. I mean, look how much more people it helped, right? His knowledge and his wisdom and what he left behind. Look how much more people it helped, right? And that's the point, right? The point is that frequency helps elevate. It helps people see things and understand who they are, see things better and see the world as it is, and then see themselves better and then help them see their problems and help so they can address it. And then it helps them elevate their perspective on the world, helps them get up from where they are and stop being trapped, right? When you start living authentically, people will watch you, they will notice you. And the ones who it affects, it will affect them in a positive way. We're already having an effect like that on people with our travel channel and with just what we post already online, just the way we do it. We do things authentically, like the way we shoot things and talk about things and how we move and let our energy just be. And people don't know why, but they want to follow. People don't know why, but they want to just talk about certain things when they watch us. And it's like you can feel people message you and people message us and go, how do you do that? How do you know? How do you guys try this? How do you end up? How do you do this? How do you do that? How do you guys get here? Like, you know, how do you make this happen? And it's changing their life, just the way they perceive how they should live their life, right? And then they're asking more questions, sometimes spiritual questions, right? And that's the point. The point is just to be and be out there. And it's going to rub some people the wrong way. They get mad at you. They send you terrible messages. It's like, oh boy. But
Really? You get some of those?
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. We get some. We get not too many, but we do get them. And but for the most part, we get people that are just it changes their perspective. Like I'll give you an example. I mean,
Yeah.
it's so silly. It's not silly. It's just like it's simple. But um, we started traveling like 3 years now when we had our first kid. So when she was like 8 months, 9 months ish, we decided we are going to travel some more. And
When she was 3 months.
she was 8 months,
Oh,
about
eight
eight
months.
months.
Okay.
And so this was about three and a half years ago, I guess. And we decided to record a lot of it and just be ourselves and just kind of talk about what we're doing and why we're doing it. and
Yeah.
taking this chance trying to do it, right? And we'd spend months out of the country at a time, and we'll go and come back for like weeks and go and come back, go and go somewhere else and go somewhere else. And we did that for about 3 years. And only like some from the summer, this summer, we kind of slowed it down for the summer till now. We didn't really do much. So last summer till now. And we've just been busy with a bunch of other stuff. But even just doing that and just the way we were and how we would talk about things and show our lives and talk about it, it affected other people because they would message us, how you guys doing this? How you guys traveling and doing this, and that? I've been meaning to go on trips like that. And some people actually took chances. Like we know someone that took a chance and said, hey, we're gonna go over here and try this thing with our family now and spend a little bit more time there instead of just doing this on the resort. We're gonna go in the city, we're gonna stay here and try it this way and experience it a different way. And it just impacted them. It's not like it wasn't necessarily a spiritual impact, but it was just an impact of, you know what? I want to enjoy life a little bit more. And there's a different way to enjoy it. And I don't have to enjoy, I don't have to just say, for 2 weeks out of the year, we're going to go to a resort, go to the
That's
same
right.
resort every year, and that's it. It's like, hey, have you ever tried going to this city and staying in the city and then looking at seeing what it's like and then going here and checking out the different foods and doing different things? And you can do that for 2, 3 weeks, spend less money and have a great time. It just changed their perspective. They're like, oh, wait a minute. Yeah. Oh, we Airbnb'd our house when we were gone. Some people were like, I never thought of that. And it's like, yo, how do you do that? And they would message us and ask questions how you actually did that, how you able to do that, what did it take to do it? How much did it cost? Like, and it was just laid out for them. And we're like, yeah, it's not that bad. It's not, and you could actually do it. So you Airbnb your house while you're gone, and then that someone's paying for your
Yeah.
mortgage and they giving you a little extra money in your pocket while you're traveling, and you're
Yeah.
gone. Set up your situation to be a little bit more remote if you can, or whatever, save a little bit of money and then maybe take time off from work and travel where can you do a month and just, hey, listen, I'm not we've saved enough money. We could take a month off without working, and we're not going to get paid for it, right? We're not going to get paid for it. We're going to take a sabbatical, like, like a 1 month unpaid vacation. No, we're not going to get paid at work, but we've saved the money for it. But we're going to take this month, and it may be the only trip we take this year, but we're going to go somewhere fun and stay there for a month. We're going to rent out a place for a month, and we're going to just live there for a month and try that experience. You know what I mean? And we had people messaging us about that, how to do that. One of my friends in Toronto, she had a house and she set up her basement as an Airbnb, and she never thought of it before. She was just like, why I never thought of that? Like she just saw me doing it. She asked me questions. She literally messaged me and was like, how do you do this? How do you set it up? And she just took the initiative, went and did it. And she made like $30,000 one year. I should even, I guess I could say, because I didn't say her name, last year, just from renting out her basement in Toronto. And she was
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
she couldn't believe it. Like, this extra income for her. And she was just like, this is
That's a
amazing. I
game
didn't think
changer.
about that. Right.
That's actually one of the things that I think we are trying to create here is we're creating game-changing impact.
Yeah.
And it's not incremental value, but it's a game-changing value for people.
Right. Exactly. Right. But that came from us being authentic with ourselves, deciding to go on camera and be real about it, and just following our passions and the unction that came from being still and hearing from our higher selves, from source, God, whatever works for you, and giving us the courage to do it and taking a chance and doing it. And it worked out. And it was fantastic. And it allowed us to travel for a while. And it inspired other people to do it. They traveled more themselves. And they messaged us and told us, we did this because of you. We tried this because of you. And that was one of the catalysts too to giving us the confidence to even try this podcast stuff because it's like you didn't realize like what was happening over the last 2 or 3 years was there was all these things happening that was building our confidence in being in front of a camera, recording things, putting things online, not caring what people think, learning how to shoot, learning how to edit videos, learning what you need to do to actually make this work, the equipment and stuff like that. And then getting the confidence and the comfortability, being comfortable with and the comfortability, being comfortable with the idea of it. And I feel like everything we've done to this point has led up to just being able to do this right now, right? So it's like it's all part of the path. And now there's a pull to do it. It's not just a thought. It's like I can't do it any other way. I can't go backwards. I can't go
Right.
back to the regular job and think that's the only way I want to live. I can't keep my mouth shut anymore about what I know and what I understand. I can't just go back to a traditional just life of going to work, coming home, hanging out with people that just talk about nothing and be okay with that. It's like my desire, my pull is in a new direction about what I know and what I understand now about life, about being authentic, about the challenges that you face as a human being and how to overcome them and all the things I've learned from that. And the experience that I gain here, I want to talk about it. I want to help people get through things that they need to, but I realized I have to find the right audience. I was just randomly telling people stuff. And sometimes they didn't want to hear it. A lot of times they didn't want to hear it. And I'm like, I don't have the right audience. And I realized that you have to have the right audience, because the information wants to come out, right? The knowledge wants to come out. The source speaking to me has something to say, and it's just wanting to pour out. So it's leading up to all of this, right? Everything happened for a reason. Following that passion. They say don't follow your passions. No, follow your passions. Okay, your
Follow your
purpose.
passions.
Your
Yeah.
purpose is behind your passion. Whatever your purpose is going to be. You have to follow your passions to figure out what it is.
That's actually a great segue into, I was going to ask you for your advice and guidance and tips. So follow your passion is going to be one of the sort of the key themes that everything else is probably going to connect with. But a lot of people out there are really thirsty. They're yearning for increasing their income and for increasing their financial stability, their financial responsibility, their abundance, their prosperity. I believe that's one of the things that we're here on this earth to do is to manifest prosperity and abundance. And I personally, I did actually last summer, I actually did the ceremony where I buried my pauper self, my old under-earning financial self.
Okay.
Yeah. I notice, I mean, I'm very aware that I'm so capable. And,
Hmm.
I've made up to $250,000 a year one year in my previous engineering consulting career. So I know I can earn a lot of money,
Right.
have that capacity. Once you've done it once, there's no reason not to do it a second time and a third time. Except I've never wanted to sell myself short. I found that my integrity was being called into question in some aspects of my previous engineering career. And one of my mentors says that truth is worth a lot. So one of the things about being authentic is living in truth. My truth, at least, my best understanding of truth and doing the next right thing and living authentically and living my passion is what I want to do. And I'm also like, I believe one of the things that I want to do with this channel is I want to also eventually monetize it in
Right.
more ways than one, right? Monetize it not because I'm trying to take anybody's money, monetize it because I bring value to the market and my ideas and my guests' ideas are valuable. And together we're improving the world and the world appreciates us.
Yeah. Why you should make money from if you have a gift and you have something to offer the world. Why shouldn't you monetize it? Everybody else is with everything, right? I mean, everything is like that. I mean, you can give it away for free. You could. That's up to you. But if it's valuable, you should monetize it. Why not? Why should you give it away for free and be poor? Why should you be poor here? You're the creator here. That doesn't mean you're not going to go through hard times and stuff, but to say that you shouldn't have money and you shouldn't make money. Everybody else is making money. Everybody else has a YouTube channel and a thing, and they're trying to make money and they're trying to offer a service to people that they like, right? The thing
Few
is, you're going to
people,
offer
yeah.
something. You're going to
Yeah,
offer
there's
something
millions
that,
out there, yeah.
yeah, right? You're offering something that if people like it, they'll buy it. They'll invest in it, right? And if it helps them, however it helps them, that's what you want, right? So there's no guilt behind that. I don't even know where that guilt came from. That's like, I don't know. You want to be poor and then have somebody else give you money? I don't know. Like, you know what I mean? Like you want to be so poor that people have to take money from their pocket to give you so you survive. Now you're putting a strain on other people, or you go out there and you do something and bring value and then earn money from that. That's how it's supposed to be, right? If you open up a shop, a store, and you're selling books or cookies or something. Well, you're providing value, right? You're selling services, and people want your cookies. Your cookies are great. They're gonna buy the cookies. Why don't you just go give away the cookies for
Yeah.
free? You won't, right? So when it comes to spiritual things, why can't you monetize it if it's helping people? If it's trash, they won't buy it. So you don't have to worry about that. But if it's worth it, they'll buy it, right? And they support you and you support them. And it's an all nice circle. So,
I believe that people, including myself, will change. The vast majority of people will change, including me, is when it's absolutely necessary. Up
hmm,
until then, most people are reluctant to change. They're reticent to change. So perhaps some of the travails, some of the challenges are necessary where, up until now I had wiggle room, and now I really, even just my level of self-responsibility and self-accountability and truth to myself does not allow me to financially underperform anymore. And now that epiphany, that light moment, that aha moment goes, okay, well, what can I do where I'm in authenticity,
mm,
where I'm in truth, and I'm doing something that I feel alive, and I'm also delivering value and letting the marketplace appreciate me fairly. And there's a
yeah,
mindset, there's a shift in frequency in that.
yeah, 100%. Makes sense. That makes sense. That's how it should be.
Yeah. So to respect your time, should we start kind of the descent phase of our podcast?
Okay.
We actually said we're going to start on a high note this at the beginning with something really positive or something very great that I'm really grateful for.
hmm
So, I want to express my gratitude for you being the first guest on this podcast, The Purpose to Care. So, what positive or what grateful thing would you like to share? And also, like, can you comment on your understanding about like what is my philosophy as a person, as a podcaster, and the title Purpose to Care? So the positive, the grateful, and kind of like any feedback about my philosophy and like how you see me
The positive, the grateful, and what I think about your podcast.
and the
So,
philosophy. Yeah.
and the philosophy of it. So, the positive, I'm positive for people that I think more people are waking up. More people are waking up and starting to step into their purpose, which I think that's a real positive. Things are changing. You know, the energy is raising on the planet, and I think people are raising their vibration, and it's going to affect change on this planet for the positive. And that's a good thing. You're going to see a lot more healing, a lot more people being awake, a lot more people becoming just like removing that veil, that the delusion that they have over their face and their eyes and their brains. And they're going to be waking up and getting healed, getting answers to their problems, understanding who they are. And I think that's going to keep on increasing. The great, the great, I would say, um, just to be grateful. Just be grateful. Be grateful for everything. Keep a positive attitude about things, you know? You control your vibration. You control your responses to things. Be appreciative. And that's a huge, that's going to be a huge game changer in your life, no matter what. Just be thankful. Be thankful for everything. I used to pray. I went to like a traditional church for a very long time, like since I was
Yes.
a kid, all up until I was like maybe 30. And I'm 41 now, almost 42. And we used to, we grew up praying, but the way I understand prayer now is it's just it's really more about giving gratitude and thanks. Not necessarily begging, because a lot of people beg. It's like the thing is begging. It's like it's about being appreciative. That's what I've learned. This is all I've learned. I'm talking about. It's learning about being appreciative. Prayer is like giving thanks and praise. When they sing and they jump up in church, that's good. When they're giving thanks to God, that's good. Just lifting your vibration, being happy, just being appreciative. I think that's a lot of what it is. You can ask for things. I'm not saying you don't, but even when you're asking for things, sometimes you ask you don't even realize that you might ask in a way that's like you don't have, like lack. It's like, please help me with this. I'm suffering. Or you can be like, thank you for providing everything for me. You know, prosperity is mine. You bless me. You made me a creator. I'm of you. I can have anything I want. You know, everything will be provided for me. Thank you for watching over me and my family. I appreciate it. I love it. You just come from that point of view. And you feel it
Amen.
when you talk like that, you feel it in your heart. You feel your energy change. You feel it in your chest, you know? So be grateful. So that's the great part. Um, and with this podcast, for you, I would say whatever it brings out of you and you put it out there, whatever that vibration is, and you're called for that, keep doing that, right? Follow your passion, follow your calling, because that's where your money is. That's where your prosperity is. That's where your joy is. That's where you could spend 20 hours a day working on it and it won't feel like 20 hours a day. You can work at night after you work from you work your other job, and maybe one day you won't have to do that other job, and it's like you just keep following your passion, keep doing what God has called you for. Like for me, it's about talking about authenticity and whatever else comes along with that. I have a nickname that um, someone gave me, and they call me the Trigger Man. And I don't mean it in a bad way. It's not like guns, nothing that has nothing to do with weapons, but it's when I show up, I trigger you. My presence triggers people. And that's part of my purpose, right? My wife, she don't trigger nobody. She creates environments where people are super comfortable, and she's great at creating environments. And my daughter, everyone loves her. When they see her, you could be grumpy, you can't stay grumpy. I literally just see people have a stone cold face, and then they'll see her and they just light up, and they just can't even figure out why they're lighting up so much. And as soon as they leave her and they walk away, they go back to a stone cold face. And I'm like, wow, that was weird. But she just has that effect on people, right? So you
Yeah.
be you. You be you, and whatever comes out of you that's going to be beneficial to yourself and to this world, be authentic to that and keep following that. I want to see where this podcast takes you. I'm curious because I'm going to keep watching, and I want to be back on here too if you let me. I'm down for
Of course.
that.
Of course.
So and you have my support and my love going forward with this. So let's be authentic with ourselves and do what we're called to do. And let's change the vibration on this planet. Let's raise it and help as many people as we can go where we need to go. It's not about saving everybody. It's just about you doing your part by being you, right? You're not supposed to worry about everybody. You worry about yourself. And by worrying about yourself, you're going to help people, right? Because not everybody's going to be understanding and wants to go where you're going, right? But you can't control that. Who it's for it'll be for them and they'll hear it.
Yes. Well, Osbert, I'm gonna ask you to end with a story. And before that, I want to thank you for being extraordinary and being remarkable in your quest to share your awakening with the world and to continue to basically, I wanted to say like be authentic,
Yep.
but I think I can do better than that. Continuing to really follow your purpose, right? Like to be in purpose, to be on purpose, then life is it doesn't take willpower to get up out of bed in the morning because when you're on purpose, you will never quit. You will always have hope. No matter what
Mhm.
happens, you will always have hope, and that's priceless.
That's true.
But can you end with a story?
A story. Whew. A story. What kind of story can I tell here? Okay.
It can be
Um,
like a educational story that you read in a book. It could be a story from your life. You could just make up a story ad lib. I could help you make up a story together. We could
uh,
just be very creative here. Or we could just say, we've done enough here and we could wrap up. It's up to you.
oh, you know what? You got me off guard there. So I'll say, let's just wrap up. And next
Yeah,
time I'll
that's
think of
fine.
a story. I promise you guys, next time I'll have a good
That's fine.
story
No
for you.
problem. Yeah,
All
we
right.
did well today. We did
Yeah,
well. Okay, I'm
I
gonna give you a
appreciate it.
clap.
It
Thank
was
you,
really fun.
Osbert.
I really enjoyed this conversation more than I even expected, and I knew I was going to enjoy it. But like, it really helps. Um, it's something I definitely want to keep doing, and I'm glad that I was able to do the first one here with you. And this was fantastic and fun. I enjoyed it, and I want you to keep doing your thing too. You know, we're in full support of what you're trying to do here.
Absolutely. I'm going to share this with a lot of my friends, my network, and expect some more fame and more celebrity.
All right, 100%.
Yes. Thank you for help. Thank you for your kindness. Thank you for
Thank you
caring.
again. Thank you again. Enjoy. All right.